Good morning, humble practitioners. It is week 8. We are working on kneeling mountain today. Kneeling mountain is not actually a common pose in most yoga classes. In an Aishin's yoga class, it is quite common. In fact, it's a base of many poses used in other classes, like camel, for example. We're just going to work on kneeling mountain. You'll probably want a couple different props, one of which is either a yoga block or some books or something fairly firm that is parallel that you can put between your feet. This block is 4 inches wide this way and 6 inches wide this way, and usually one of those widths will work for most people. The other thing you might need if your floor is hard or if your knees are tender is something to put under your knees, and that could be a folded blanket. That's a really good option, or a pillow that's not too thick and poofy, one that's a little denser. You don't want to get your knees lifted way up high, you just want to cushion them. So kneeling mountain looks a lot like this. That's it. That's what it looks like. However, there's things we're doing in it that make it much more active and much more energetically stimulating of a pose. The first thing is this block between your feet. Now if I didn't have the block, that's kind of what my feet do. See how my toes curl in and my heels do these funny things? And I no longer have parallel lines from my knee to my toes. By putting the block here, I bring the inside edges of my feet to the block and I start to line up these legs and make 2 parallel lines. This might be too narrow for some, and you might choose to put something more like 6 inches wide between your feet. For me, that's not so comfortable. I like 4, but it's the same principle. Parallel feet, parallel shins, and bringing your feet into the block. If you need cushioning, you just put it under your knees and work there. So I've got this block between my feet, and I'm going to press the inside edges of my feet into the block, including trying to bring this bony part into the block, the ankle. I want to bring the inside edge of the foot and the ankle into the block. And with my knees straight down from my hips, I'm hugging that block, which starts to wake up some muscles in my lower legs. And then I want to press straight down through my thighs into the floor, which starts to bring my pelvis upright a little bit and supports my spine better. And lastly, I want to bring my thigh bones, the very top of them, forward just a little bit, which creates a little more space at the front of the pelvis, starts to make my stomach engage. So from the waist down, I'm fairly active. Calves, hamstrings, quadriceps, glutes, lower abdomen, but up above that, not a lot of work. So I'm hugging the block, I'm reaching down through the knees, I'm pressing forward at the top of the thighs, and I breathe. And then I let that go. And one other thing I didn't mention yet is what's going on up at the front of the body. We don't want to get the knees wide so that the legs are angled out, nor do you want the knees touching so that the thighs are angled in. You want to picture those thigh bones as 2 parallel lines. That's going to help you decide how wide to put your block. And again, all we're doing is hugging the block with the feet, pressing down through the thighs, pressing the top of the thighs forward, and breathing here. Next week we'll build on this, we'll add some other ideas and instructions to it, questions to ask about it, but I just want to start to give you one simple pose to work with that we can build on. That's it, that's your humble practice this week. Play with kneeling mountain. If you don't like kneeling mountain, go back and play with some other stuff we did in the last few weeks. And I will see you next week.